You are listening to an exclusive interview on Bass Musician Magazine.
Hey everybody, this is Raul with Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with an old friend, Stu Hamm. Hey Stu.
What's up everybody?
Hey.
Coffee and bass guitar.
There you go. Well, one of the last times we had a chance to chat, Stu, you were here in Portland playing the Aladdin Theater. And of course, we've been keeping up and kind of paying attention to a lot of things you're doing, but it's come to our attention that you've got a big special project going on right now. Tell us a bit about that.
I do, man. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's a solo bass album and a solo bass tour called the Diary of Patrick Xavier. And it's a really interesting, my life's been through a lot of changes in the last few years, like a lot of us, right? Very turbulent times we live in. And my life got tossed into a blender a few years ago. So I sort of became the Flying Dutchman of bass players, right? And I just traveled as much as I could and took any gig I could take and went to amazing places and met crazy, amazing people. So I decided to document this whole process musically. And I read all the time. My brother's a writer. My father was a composer and writer. And I think in another world, I probably would have been a writer, right? And I try to write. So I'm always reading something. And whenever I'm done with a book, I'll leave it in the seat pocket in front of me on an airplane, or leave it in a hotel so someone else can find it. Gotcha. So I was in this hotel in Italy, and I put my book that I've been reading into this library, and I saw another book. It looked like a book, and it was called The Diary of Patrick Xavier, and I picked it up, but it was actually a diary of this dude, right? And as I started reading the diary, it turns out that we've been to a lot of the same places. And it was really weird. He's not a musician, but he's sort of a businessman or in the arts. It's kind of unclear. But as I kept reading his diary, it was just really freaky about how many of the same places we'd been. Right, so I had this idea to sort of compare my experiences at the same places that he'd been and wrote about, and write songs about those experiences. So that's what the record is about. Each song is about a geographic location, and I sort of talk about what he writes about in his diary and about what happened to me there, and how I went about creating the music that sort of ties it all together. And for most of the songs, there's a photograph that I took accompanying it. So it's also a bit of a literary effort. Right?
Sure.
Really deeply personal thing. I mean, it's just a solo bass record, man. It's just me and my bass. There's a couple loops and overdubs, but it's pretty genuine and pretty pure. And as you can assume, a project like this, Deutsche Grammophon and Sony Records aren't, beating the door down to give me, $250,000 to produce the record, right?
Yeah.
But it's something I really, I believe in so much, because it's just so much of me. And as an artist, that's just sort of, you got to do what you're feeling, right? And that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm doing right now. So I've got a great engineer at Art Spoke Studios in Berkeley, California, James Boblak, who I've worked with a bunch of times, and he turned me on to Indiegogo. So I started this Indiegogo campaign to help me finance the record and the tour. Because what I want to do is, if I get enough money, I can make a better packaging with a nice 8-page booklet to include all the stories and the photographs. And help along with the tour and stuff like that. So it's great, man, and people really responded. There's so many different ways. Everything from for $5, you can get a couple picks, a commemorative pick for the new record, and an old pick from one of my B3 tours or G3 tours, nice. Up to where you can order pre-release copies of the CD, signed copies of the CD. You can become a backer where your name's listed on the cover. You can help me produce it by send you the tapes before they're released and we talk about it. You can take Skype lessons. You can hire me to play on your demos, right? All these things. And also, so then in end of February, I'm doing a month-long tour, solo bass tour. Okay. And on the Indiegogo campaign, it's indiegogo.com, Stu Hamm. You can have these VIP packages to the show where you can show up and you get free tickets, backstage passes. I give you a free copy of the CD and we hang out. There's even, no one signed up for it yet, but I hope they will. You can be my tour manager for a day, right? So if you ever wondered what it was like to be me on the road for a day, driving around the country by myself doing a solo bass concert, you can help me out. You show up, help me unload my gear, be my tech for the day, help me sell CDs, have dinner with me, pack up, deal with the merchandise and the whole thing, right? So
there you go.
It's a really cool way to get people involved, and it helps me out as far as, again, being able to have a much better and informative packaging, spend a little more on the artwork and the mixing and mastering of the record than I could if it was just financed by the record company, which is me. And people have responded great. And again, it's a way for them to be involved and get something back for their donations. So thank you to everybody that's already really achieved so much. Right, again, been able to up the game on the graphics and the packaging, and it's really exciting.
Well, it's always, art is such an amazing thing, and it's something that we very much are always happy to support because of the creative process that, especially in troubled times, as it is the safe harbor to go into, and there's no politics, there's no so much of other things when it comes down to the pure creativity of the individual. And this has obviously inspired you. This has really lit a fire.
Well, it's a really different record, man. It's either going to be like the biggest career suicide, or just weird enough where I'll get on NPR and Wolf Trap and play with the Boston Symphony and I'll become rich and famous. You never know.
Yeah.
But I will say this: it's meant, like art, to be on many different levels. Also, I listen to a lot of really mellow music, man. There's a podcast called Hearts of Space. Used to be a radio show that's called Slow Music for Fast Times, curated by a guy named Stephen Hill in San Francisco. And I listen to a lot of. There's an Estonian composer named Arvo Pärt, and it's called postmodernist minimalism. And it's music that's supposed to really exist over a long period of time, and it's supposed to make you feel good. So in one way, besides the personal story and the friggin' amazing bass playing on this record, it's also meant to be a record that you just put on for 50 minutes, and it's beautiful, nice music that makes you feel happy and feel good. Yeah. There's a great record by Pat Metheny called One Quiet Night that's just him playing guitar, and it's amazing. But it's also, you put it on and it's nice. It's a nice feeling. And also the thing I liked about the Metheny record was that there are it's just a record of him playing guitar, and there's fret buzzes and squeaks, and when you're in the studio, you can get wrapped up in trying to make a bass not sound like a bass. But
sure.
When you move your hand, you hear the hand moving. And I've spent there, hours trying to take my hand off or edit it out, but that's not what it sounds like when someone plays a stringed instrument.
Yeah.
Right? So you had to let all that go and just let it be real. But, it's supposed to be a story of my life. It's sort of a literary effort. Obviously, it's amazing bass player and great composition, but it's also just a record that's supposed to put on to make you feel relaxed and calm and good and introspective, I guess would be a good word.
With the Indiegogo campaign, you have a target date where this is a deadline that you're shooting for?
Well, yeah. Let me see. I think I've got. It's cut off in I believe January, probably the 28th, because some of the perks you can get are having your name on the record. So I've got to finish that part of it so I can get these things pressed so that they're ready to go for my first gig at Schenck Hall in Milwaukee on February 28th. See you, Jason. See all my buddies there. But then after that runs out, some of the perks still continue as far as the perks pertaining to the VIP packages for the concerts, for hiring me for Skype lessons. So those continue, but the important ones are, it takes about 3 weeks from when I finish all the artwork and send it to be mastered to be able to mail out the pre-copies to the people who've ordered them and have them ready to go to sell for my first date. So we're moving.
There you go.
But if you want to get your name on the credits of the album, I think January 26th, 26th. That's hard to say. Is your target date to end your deadline to get in on that. And I've had some people, man. There's also an option where you can just send me money, and I had a couple people just send me some money.
There you go.
And I had a couple friends of mine, Steve Vai, donated. Helped me out. Some other people who shall remain nameless were in, and it's been great. And being able to connect with people, I send thank you notes, and it's been a great idea.
Excellent. Well, and I think the key thing here, people, is that don't sit on this. It's time for action. It's time to get this going, because as it is, as we're talking, it's January 8th. So you've got about 20 days to get off the couch and get something going here and take advantage of this great historical bass music event, because this is what it is.
It is really what it is. And I'm a positive guy, but again, a solo bass record and tour, being economically viable, man, it's I'm doing this. I ain't doing this to get rich. I'm doing it because I believe in it.
Gotcha.
Just a little bit like that helps. It's not like I said. I'm thankful to do it, and I'll do it for as long as I can, because it's what gets me up in the mornings. And I'm just thankful there are people that are interested and supportive.
The Indiegogo site, Stu, so that people can check it out?
Yeah, Indiegogo.com. Type in Stu Hamm. Bam, there you go. Obviously, if you go to my Instagram page and scroll back, I have videos on my Facebook. My fan Facebook page. I have a whole, there's a video that explains the whole project and a link there to it. I mean, you think about it, I've got 110,000 fans on my Facebook page. They each gave me $1. I could rent a tour bus. I could hire you to come out and be my video photographer and film the whole tour, right? I mean, it's simple economics.
Totally.
But again, the thing is with the campaign is they're not just asking for money. You get these great perks, and there's something for everybody. So if it's for you, great, man.
Perfect. Well, people, you heard it here directly. We're scooping everybody. We're getting this out right away. The amazing Stu Hamm. It is time for you guys to get off your butts and contribute to supporting the arts and music as you love it. Bass music, as it doesn't get any better than this. Pure, solo, speaking to the soul, talking the universal language of music. Folks, you've seen it here, coming to you live. Stu in Seattle, we're in Vancouver. Bass Musician Magazine.
All right, man. Good to see you. Be safe down there. I'll talk to you soon.
You bet.
Thanks for basing out with us here on BassMusicianMagazine.com.